Hey guys, Jacob Howard here, and today we are going to be looking at the Hero 7 Black versus the new Hero 9 Black and how the footage looks for FPV purposes. Now, we're not going to go over every little detail on, if it'll decrease your flight time or different things like that. We're going to be looking at, does it work well for FPV footage? Now, a few things to note. They have not released ND filters yet for the Hero 9, so I had to up my shutter speed when I was doing these shots, and since it was the middle of the day, we had to do actually the highest shutter speed allowed, which is 1/960. You lose some of the motion blur and some of the cinematic look when you do that, so I did it also on the Hero 7. I did not put my ND filter on it so that we'd have an even race. So we're going to fly to the top of the mountain over here, do a dive, and then do the same thing with the Hero 9. So we're going to start with the Hero 7 first, and here we go. Okay, so I'm approaching the top of the mountain, but once I get to the top, I'm going to do a dive, and I'm going to do the same dive with the other camera so we can compare the two. So we got one long dive with the Hero 7 Black all the way down the mountain. Okay, so now we have the GoPro Hero 9 Black on the drone, and we're flying up. We're gonna try and do the exact same path so that, we give the same look. No clouds have entered the scene or anything, so it's not gonna change the look of the footage at all. Okay, so we just flew the GoPro Hero 9 Black on the same route as we did with the Hero 7. Same settings, the ISO is the same setting, the white balance is the same, the shutter's the same, everything's the same. We made sure both cameras were at exactly a 20-degree angle, so while I was flying it looked the same as much as possible on this flight. So now we're going to go back to the editing realm. We're going to open up DaVinci Resolve, a video editor, and we're going to compare the Hero 9 Black footage to the Hero 7 Black footage. It's all 2.7K footage. And we're just going to look at it really in depth to see if it is worth the price to get another camera, and we're going to see if it's worth also the extra weight, because this is definitely a bigger and heavier camera than the Hero 7 Black. So let's jump over there and see how it does. Okay guys, so now we're in DaVinci Resolve. I have them both right here. We got the Hero 7 one and the Hero 9. Like I said, pretty much the same clips, as close as I can get to doing the same kind of dive down the mountain. So we're just going to go through and see how it looks for each one. So this is the Hero 7. It's not going to play back perfectly right now because it's my GPU and CPU trying to render all the footage at once. But you can see already the motion blur definitely made a difference because it's got like this kind of almost skipping down here. You can see the individual trees as they're going by instead of like that nice motion blur. But that's because we couldn't do the shutter speed lower like with an ND filter. So that's the first dive with the Hero 7, and then this is the dive with the Hero 9. A little bit different. It got a little windy, so it was a little harder getting down. You can see the same thing on these edges. It kind of looks digital. It looks, a little blocky, not as smooth as it could be. One thing I am noticing is we are having a little bit more jitter and stuff and movement, and that's something I noticed too when I was just even carrying the GoPro around or doing little testing on the ground, is that it seemed the hyper smooth was a little too active. We had it set as close as we could to the same as the Hero 7, and yeah, it just seemed like it would move kind of delayed, and it wasn't the best at stabilization versus the Hero 7, which I think is more basic and just kind of like gets the initial smooth footage, whereas this, it just seems like it was way too watery and just like it just was way too fluid and took too long to kind of like stabilize it. So just at first glance, they don't look all that different. So that's where we're going to actually split the screen and see how they both look side by side. Okay, so now we have the two clips side by side, and let's play through and look at them real quick. So first thing I'm noticing right here, like you can see the rocks here, those look like a nice rock color. But over here you got more of this orangish, almost purpley tint, as well as some blue up here in the rocks. So already it's not looking quite as good as the GoPro over here. Once again, these were set to the exact same settings in the exact same scenario. They were flown one after another, exact same lighting and everything. There were no clouds or anything. What you see right here is haze from the forest fires. So let's keep going. DaVinci's skipping a little, but either way, you can see how much this is shaking versus this. This is just super smooth, really nice, whereas this is kind of like doing that back and forth, kind of that weird watery feeling I was telling you guys about earlier. It could have definitely been my flying, but I've done this dive several times and I've never had this issue before. So here's something interesting. If you look right here on this side, so this is the Hero 9 over here, the sharpness was set to the same on both of these, but look how like digital and kind of like pixelated almost this looks over here versus this over here. This looks smoother, looks more natural. Over here looks a lot more like digital, like processed and stuff. So I definitely don't like that. We're still also seeing a little bit of weird coloration here on these rocks, just slightly different color than over here on these rocks. And like right here. So here you got this kind of greenish orange, and over here it's way more orange. So I don't know what's going on there, because once again, these were set to the exact same settings. So we can see right here, this is where this bush was going into this bush when I flew over the other time. Once again, like, this looks soft, natural. This looks very digital and just pixelated almost. So they're both at 2.7K, so we shouldn't see any issues with this. And we can compare these trees as well. Soft, natural looking, very pixelated, like just super sharp and super detailed, but detailed in like a bad way. Not detailed like where you can see stuff that looks really good. It's like detailed like fake. And the sharpness was set to the same, so I don't know why we're seeing such a huge difference between the two. And then here's that contrast again. This nice color that looks, this looks very much like the rocks that are up there, and this is like really tinted and looks really weird. So this is beginning again. Like, this is just, to me, very clear that this GoPro Hero 9, it looks totally different than the Hero 7. And honestly, when I'm looking at it right now, the Hero 7 to me looks like a way better image than the Hero 9. Same settings, but look at the difference between these two. This does not make me go, wow, this looks so good. This right here looks good. So now let's jump into the actual coloring and see how it handles some different coloring techniques. Okay, so here we have our Hero 7 footage. So let's look at that and let's do just a little bit of adjustments on it and see how it looks. So first off, I'm going to bring down our highlights just a little bit because we had that haze coming in. So we just want to take a little bit of that away. So I'm going to go about -18 there. We don't have a whole lot of shadows, so I don't need to bring those out. Also, that haze kind of diffused the light a little bit, so it's not as sharp. I'm going to come into here and I'm going to do a little bit of an S-curve. So it brings out the shadows and the darks just a little bit and just brings out the highlights just in the right way. So that's already looking better because like that's before, after. So that's starting to look better. I'm going to come into here to hue versus saturation. I can see where my two colors are. I don't want that blue near as much because we're getting a lot of that blue color because of this haze. So I'm going to drop some of the saturation in that, just a little bit, not too much, because that'll start taking out all that color. And then for over here, I'm going to just bump up our fall colors just a little bit. That brings this all out a little bit more. Okay, so we got this editing right here in the beginning. Let's kind of skip into it a little bit, and let's take a look how it looks down here. So we got really nice popping colors. Might be a little too saturated. So I might just bring it down just a little bit, not too much, because it does look good, and you just don't want to way oversaturate it. And so this slider down here actually will help control some of my sharpness. So if I bring it up, see, that's already looking a lot more like the Hero 9 footage, isn't it? You can see like it looks very digital and pixelated down here on the details on the leaves. But if I bring it back down to 0, it looks a lot more natural. So I really think that may be where the Hero 9 sensor is having an issue, is that sharpness. So yeah, to me this looks really good. I really like how this turned out. Colors look really nice. This is some very nice Hero 7 FPV footage. So let's jump into the Hero 9 and see if we can apply the same kind of color grade and see how it does. Okay, so I have both my clips here. I'm going to click this one, right click here, click apply grade. So it's going to apply all the grade I did on here to this one. So since the settings were the same, it should really look good no matter what. So let's take a quick look at this video. So the colors are definitely looking better. The contrast is a little too dark on these guys, but the color is looking pretty good. Once again, look at that digital look. So let's actually go down here to our MD and let's actually turn it down and see if it starts looking like the other footage. Yeah, it's not very good at removing sharpness, which is why I recommend that you don't apply a whole lot of sharpness in your actual camera, because it's not good at taking it away. It can add it pretty well, but it's not as good as taking it away. So yeah, it's definitely very sharp and digital. Okay, so we have both clips here, both color graded. So let's hit play and see how they both look side by side. So again, we still have that same issue with the rocks here being a different color, and it's actually worse now. Very digital over here, very sharp and detailed. I would say for the most part the colors look pretty much the same. I think once again this has a softer, more natural look, whereas this looks more digital. But as far as the color grade goes, both of them look pretty good. It still has that kind of purplish reddish tint on the rocks. It looks a little more red in the leaves as well, which makes sense since the rocks appear more red. The greens look a little more greener on the side. So yeah, so there's the comparison between a Hero 7 footage and Hero 9 filmed in the exact same situations with the exact same settings. Overall, I am not impressed with the Hero 9. I was expecting footage that looked better than the Hero 7, and this does not look better. In fact, if we zoom it in really tight here, we'll really be able to see what I'm talking about. Okay, so here are both clips zoomed in about 3.5 times. So you can see right here that all that detail, all that extra sharpness and digital look on the rocks and everything here. Here it's much smoother and softer, looks much better. You get a little bit more of that detail, but it doesn't necessarily look good. I don't like the look of it at all. And look at how the color's different. Once again, this is what it looked like in real life. This was the natural color, but this is what it changed it to. And both of these are with color grade applied, so it's the exact same color grade, so there's no difference there. And yeah, just overall the Hero 7 footage definitely looks better. But either way, I'm going to play both clips at the end of this video so you guys can decide which one you like better. I recommend the Hero 7 Black. That to me looks much better than the Hero 9 Black. So I'm definitely not going to be using the Hero 9 Black. I don't think it's worth the extra weight and everything for honestly a picture that doesn't look as good as the Hero 7. So I'm going to be sticking with the Hero 7 for a little bit longer, and I would not recommend getting the Hero 9 Black for FPV. This might work really good for some other uses, but we are talking for FPV. This I do not think is a camera that you should buy and should invest more money in. Right now, Hero 7s are going to be going on sale, so I would recommend buying those. So there's my review on the two. If you guys have any questions, definitely let me know, and have fun flying.